Hey guys, welcome to another video, and today we are going to talk about RV accessories, what you need to get started. And luckily we bought used, so some of that the previous owners have already taken care of for us. So we're going to talk about what we have here, what we need to get this show on the road. So stick around and check it out. All right guys, so you really basically need three things to get started. You need power, you need water in and out, and you need stability. So we're gonna go over those things real quick. So right here, we have a 50 amp line. This is a 50 amp camper. So we have a 50 amp line, but it's only about 30 feet, which will be fine for most parks, but there may be those rare occasions where a little farther away, your pedestal. So we're probably gonna have to get an extension for that. We're gonna put that on the list. Get an extension for the 50 amp. While we're talking about power, let's discuss, okay, what if you go to somewhere and they don't have 50 amp? So you gotta have a dog bone. And that's basically, here's a 50 amp to 30 amp adapter. So you can plug this into a 30 amp and it'll provide enough power. You probably won't be able to run everything, but it'll get you by. And if you're in a real tight squeeze, you're like, let's say you're mooch stocking or something like that, and they don't have 50 or 30 amp there, and all they have is like a 15 amp breaker, and you can put it out to a regular household outlet. So that can get you by. It may run one AC, but I wouldn't run too much else off of that. That would be kind of pushing it. Probably one AC. I don't know, you definitely wouldn't be able to run the microwave or anything like that while that's going. Maybe, well, most of the lights are run on 12 volt, so you don't have to worry about that. But I don't know, you start the TV or something else, you just got to be careful about that. And that's why we're going to put in an inverter with a power assist. So that's coming down the road. We're pretty set on power except for one thing. We're missing one thing. We're going to do some traveling and do quite a bit of it. So I want to make sure that we are secure and safe. And what we don't have is an EMS or surge protector. So we are probably going to get the Watchdog. It's a little more expensive, but it's the security we need, because we're going to be spending a lot of time in this thing. So we want the security of knowing that our system is safe from power surges. So we'll put that on our list, the Watchdog surge protector. So then we should be good with power. We got cable, we need an extension, we got adapters. So we basically just need an extension and a surge protector. Okay, now we are going to talk about water. We're not going to talk about water in, we're going to talk about water out first. That is your sanitary, your gray, and your black tanks. They all come out one port on this one. What this thing doesn't have on it right now, but it did come with it, is a gate valve. And we're going to talk about what this thing does. You do have a black and gray tank over here, valves that actuates, that's a little farther back than that. So if it's leaking at all, this will start to fill up with black and gray water. So what this gate valve does is it attaches onto here. So if this line is full of black or gray water, when you take the cap will go onto here now, and then that'll stop that. So when you take the cap off, nothing comes out, and then you can make your attachments and then open the gate valve and then open your other valves to exhaust everything. So if you don't have one of these, I would suggest it. I'll leave links to just about everything in the description area below, just to make it easier for you. A good little check off list. You have to have AKA Stinky Slinkies, which is your sanitary line, and this one has two of them right back here, and it's got nice little storage place for it. And this one seems to, these are the Rhino ones. These are like one of the better ones from what I understand. So, and it's got a secondary one over here. So hopefully we got plenty between the two of them. We'll kind of find out as we go if we need more than that, but we will see how that goes. So along with your sanitary line, you need stuff to kind of you don't just want to hook it up and let it lay out, because usually it'll have to come up just a little bit before it goes down into the sanitary line. So you use these little guys to just make a downgrade slowly towards your sanitary line, which will help keep everything nice and clean and flow pretty smooth. And you typically, like when you're, there's some debate on this, but on full hookups, you want to leave your black tank closed until you need to flush it, but it's generally accepted that you leave the gray tank open. But before you, if you know you're going to have to flush the black tank soon, you probably want to fill up the gray tank a good bit, and then once you flush the back tank, you let out the gray tank, and it'll help clear that line, and so it's not so nasty and nothing gets sediment in there and dried and gets clogged up in there. But some other things that you will have to need is with sanitary lines is you want to get one of these suckers, and I'll link this in the description area below. But basically this screws into most, it has three different sizes, so it'll screw into almost any kind of sanitary line that goes into the ground. And you want this clear 90 that it attaches to, so that when you're discharging your black tank, you let it run and you flush it with a freshwater line too, until this it starts to run clear, and then you've gotten everything out. So that's why you want this, it's kind of gross to look at or whatever, but that's why you want a clear one here, so that you can see when this is finally clear, you're good to go. You shut off your rinse and close your black tank. They also make like little rubber ones like this, but just in case, I guess there's some oddball one or the threads are screwed up on one of those other systems, you can kind of throw this thing on there and it kind of just wedges in there, so you don't get the off gassing, and it just kind of takes up the space. So that might be something you want to have too. But that's going to pretty much cover most of the sanitary. So we're pretty good on the sanitary line. And so next thing we would do is, you got water going out, you need water coming in too. So we're going to talk about that. This one came with a filtration system with a nice little Y connector. You'll want one of those, and you want one of these little dongles too, little water hose thing, so that when you hook up, if you knock into this thing, it won't snap off or break. It'll kind of flex a little bit. But you want a hose that's rated for drinking water. But there is one thing that this thing is missing. I probably want a little bit longer hose too, just in case another one, but it's got one. But what it doesn't have is a water regulator pressure valve. What this does is, if like for some reason you have a surge in the water pressure, it doesn't put too much pressure on your system and cause a leak inside your RV. So it's a little $20 precaution. I'll leave this in the description area below, but you'll just connect this right between where this goes out and it goes in, because the best place to put that is right here, because you want the water filtered before it goes through this, so no little sediment or nothing bad can get in there and clog up the pressure gauge or nothing else. So I would recommend putting it after your filter. Along those lines, where you hook your water up, let's go look at that real quick. Most of these are set up so that the hose goes directly in here, and I highly recommend getting one of these 90s that go in, so because you're gonna, like if you're in here full time or whatever, you're gonna want the hose to come up through here, so that you can keep this closed while it's all hooked up. And if this is coming up and then over, it could kink, or or if it gets a little tug on it, it could break off. So with these 90s, it'll just screw into here, and then it'll come up at an angle this way and less likely to break off. So I'll leave those in the description area below too, where you can get those. So there's one more thing we need to talk about for necessities for basic living, and that is stability. Well, when you first park, if you're not on level ground, you're gonna need some blocks or some of the wedges that go into the tire, because this is an automatic leveling system, but it's not perfect, and you gotta try to get it as level as you can before you activate the leveling system. So like on this one, I have a couple of these underneath on the other side of this, so it kind of leveled it out a good bit before the system took over. But the one thing it's really missing is tire wedges, or tire blocks, whatever you want to call them. And so right now, basically the only thing that's stopping this thing from going east, north, south is the jacks themselves. This only came with one wedge, so we'll have to pick up some of those, and you know, I'll leave a link in the description area below for a couple that we're gonna get. We're gonna get the rubber kind that you can kind of get at Harbor Freight. And you know, if you buy it on Amazon, it costs $1 more, but you don't have to go to the store. Those are high on the list. All right, guys, so those are the things that you need to get started and get you going. Like I said, we'll leave a list in the description area below for all these products. So you know, you have a little check off list of what if you don't have it, you can pick it up. So we got to make sure we have this stuff. We're gonna get some, like I said, we got to get some more. We're gonna get this thing packed up, and we're gonna get on the road soon and start traveling. And if you want to follow those adventures, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, all that fancy mess, and we'll see you next week, guys.